Hello and welcome to the Recursion Cafe, where we play games from the discard pile. In today's game of Unmatched, we have myself on the left and Dan on the right. I'm playing Achilles. Himself and Patroclus are both melee fighters with 2 movement. When Patroclus is defeated, Achilles must discard 2 random cards, but then afterwards he has +2 to all of his attacks, and whenever he wins a combat he draws a card. Ms. Marvel is a solo fighter with 2 movement and 14 health. She's technically melee, but not really. At the start of her turn, she can move 1 space, and then she can also attack from 2 spaces away, which is very handy. So overall, I think Ms. Marvel has the tactical advantage of being able to kind of attack at range and kite, but then Achilles, when he gets going, has the damage output advantage. So it's a pretty even match, I think. Here is an attack, a shrink into an Achilles heel. So no damage goes through there, but Ms. Marvel does get to trigger at least one of those abilities and will force me to discard a card. Achilles heel is a bit of an odd one. It is a very strong defense, but if the opponent gets value over it, then they gain an action, which can be bad. So I will discard the other Achilles heel, which is an odd call, but I think I've got a pretty stacked hand, so I don't really want to discard anything else. Here is an attack, and it's a Brothers in Arms into a Slingshot. So 1 damage does go through, and Patroclus is not defeated, so Achilles will gain an action. However, Slingshot puts Ms. Marvel just out of range. So I'll maneuver. I don't want to go too far because Ms. Marvel is way more mobile than I am. I also want to stay on a 3-zone space because this turns off Embiggen for Ms. Marvel, and that is a recurring theme throughout this entire game. So Ms. Marvel will move to within 2 spaces and attack. It is a momentous shift into under Achilles' helm, 5 value to 2. I will swap them, so that means that's 3 damage. Does go through to Patroclus, and that's absolutely fine. So Pat now up close, and Achilles just on the outskirts there. Pat will move in and take a shot, and there's a battle frenzy into a feint. Pretty obvious feint target there because a lot of Patroclus's cards will want to do damage to himself, and that would put him to 1 health, which is the best kind of value because Dan would then have to finish him off. Or I will get more value from his self-damaging cards. So here we are, just maneuvering. I will double maneuver, and I think I'll just walk right up to Ms. Marvel just to try and pin her kind of into a corner. Again, she's very mobile, so she can get away pretty easily. She'll step away and then hit Achilles. It's a shrink into a feint. I saw that she moved out of the zone, I think. So yeah, it would have been both effects triggering there. And I was worried about a big wind up. So here Dan just steps away. Looks like 5 cards in hand, keeping pretty healthy. But I think the key to Ms. Marvel is to kind of keep up the aggression so that she can't build up cards in hand too much when you don't have sufficient defenses in hand. It's an attack, it's another Brother in Arms, this time into a feint. 2 damage still goes through even if there was no action gain, and that's again absolutely fine by me. Patroclus is just in the courtyard trying to cut off any escape routes should Ms. Marvel decide to run, which she does, it looks like. She's standing right next to that 3-zone space, just kind of inviting someone to walk in there so that she can wallop them with Embiggen. And any other spaces she can kind of threaten with the other tools at her disposal, so that's good positioning from Dan. I take a moment to think. I do boost with a Blessed by Hermes. Patroclus will take the lead, and it's a Day of Your Doom into a shrink. So 5 to 2, that's 3 damage through to Ms. Marvel, and who will choose one of the abilities. It'll probably be the discard, I imagine, because I've completed my turn here, and Ms. Marvel gets the free hop anyway. So that is Patroclus down to 1, and yeah, I discard a under Achilles helm because it's a 2 defense, and Pat's almost dead. It is a 4 boost, which lets me chase Ms. Marvel, but I think just the other cards in my hand are more worthwhile at this point. So Ms. Marvel will take a shot, and it's a Fangirl into a Battle Hardened. I believe it's like a 4 or 5 value Fangirl. It doesn't really matter because Pat only has 1 card left. So at this point, the order of triggers, the 2 discard happens first because Pat dies in combat. And after combat, I will use Battle Hardened to recur a card, which will be Test for Weakness / Relentless Assault, which is now a 3 into a 5 because Achilles is very angry. So here we do some maneuvering, and Achilles will throw a spear from across the map because those are technically in the same zones for 2 auto damage. So health total is looking pretty disparate. We've got an 18 health, full health Achilles in against a Ms. Marvel with 5 health. That being said, she hasn't used any of her healing just yet. So contrary to what I said, for some reason, I decide not to apply pressure. I think Ms. Marvel was quite far away. I didn't have sufficient boost cards, but also I disliked the idea of giving her the initiative. So I decided to just kind of not go in, which gives her a chance to heal. Euro and Fries is a pretty good card, and so she's back up to 7. Still 18-7, so I'm feeling all right. And I've been pretty conservative with my cards so far, so I'm not worried about burning out just yet. And we'll stay on that 3-zone space and invite Ms. Marvel to come in. It looks like I'm about 6 cards. So Ms. Marvel will double maneuver and will discard 2 I'm not touching U's, which are 4 value attacks, but I think, yeah, she didn't really want the card draw at this point. So that's fair enough. I will maneuver again. There's a full hand for Ms. Marvel, which makes Fangirl very dangerous. I discard down a Brother-in-Arms, which is interesting because this is technically just a flat 6 right now. But again, I think I just have more versatile options in hand. So there's the second Euro and Fries, meaning that that's all of the healing. There's 9 health, still a full 9 health up over Ms. Marvel. And there is a discard of a big wind up and something else I didn't quite catch. So I'll boost in, may as well start the combat. I'll walk around so that I can cover more of the map, and it's a 6 value skirmish into a Slingshot. So 3 damage goes through straight off the bat, and Ms. Marvel will have to go to a space in her zone. It can be any space, including her own. And I will take 2 steps back just to put myself a little bit out of range and in a 3-zone space, which is crucial. So here's an attack. It's a Fangirl into a feint. I figured if Dan had drawn that many cards, then that was coming, so this would be the natural response. And there's just a maneuver back out of range from Ms. Marvel. I'll step in and hit with a angry taste for weakness. So the Slingshot fully defends it. Ms. Marvel is able to teleport to somewhere in a zone, and then she has to defend a 5 value attack, and will do so with a 6 value Embiggen. So fully defended test for weakness there. Very impressive from an angry Achilles. And any Embiggens that I'm not being hit with, I'm pretty happy with. I think that's just absolutely fine. So Ms. Marvel will run. I will run after her, boosting with an Achilles heel, and hit with another test for weakness and relentless assault. So easy peasy means Dan draws a card, and she will ping 1 damage to me, which is the first damage done to Achilles so far. And then we'll defend the second attack. She has plenty of cards, and we'll defend with another Embiggen. So there's another fully defended test for weakness, which means I, as Achilles, don't get much card draw from this, but again, this is absolutely fine. We took that little break to draw loads of cards, and it stops me from burning out quite so fast. So there is a boost from Ms. Marvel using her draw card, which is a 4 boost. I will boost with my 4 boost, and we'll meet in the middle and have a bit of a skirmish. So it's a 3-zone space, I believe, into a 3-zone space, or a 2-zone space. So 4 value battle hardened into an easy peasy. That's 1 damage through, but also 1 damage to me because Dan has 4 more cards in hand. And I will get to recur a card. I wonder what that might be. It is another battle hardened, just in case we need the longevity. But a test for weakness would also be absolutely fine, I feel. So far, Dan's been doing a good job of basing me around the map and forcing me to adapt to all of the zone spaces that are dotted around. However, it is now just a chase. So it's a big wind up into a feint. It would have been probably a pretty big hit, so I'll just take the 2 damage and not have a boosted value in the face. And there goes Ms. Marvel, just trying to get a little bit of distance there. It is, however, quite tough to get away from someone who stood in the middle of this map, because as big as it is, there are some kind of shortcuts through, or at least the zones that you can control where you can cover a lot of ground. So here's another angry test for weakness into an easy peasy, so that's fully defended. Are we going to see the third Embiggen for defense? It is a 5 swing into 5 health, so there it is. That's the full triple defense of the 3 test for weaknesses with 3 Embiggens. Nice one. I think Dan should get some sort of award for that as an achievement unlocked moment right there. So here's another attack. It's a momentous shift into a wily fighting. Sadly, Ms. Marvel did dance out of range, so I'm not able to ping that 1 damage through. But yeah, Ms. Marvel, even though people say she's quite straightforward, she does still hit really hard, and so you have to be really careful when you engage her. I'm not touching you into a skirmish, which means that Dan does not get to draw cards because she still shares zones, which is fine. I think that was the plan because she's decked out right now. I will move in and then hit with a enlarged wily fighting into a mental shift for 3 damage because I am next to her. And then with 2 health left, there is a card left in my deck that will do it automatically. Here is a spear throw for the game. Ms. Marvel putting up a good fight there, bringing Achilles down to half health. But when Pat's gone, it's really hard to keep up with the amount of damage that Achilles can output. Dan did really well. He defended all of those double attacks almost perfectly. But it does drain cards, and especially as someone who likes to draw cards, Ms. Marvel just kind of burns out. This time she burned out a little bit quicker than Achilles did, but it was close, and Achilles was exhausted by the end as well. Really nicely done, Dan. Thank you everyone for watching, and see you next time.